This is a presentation of the Fillmore County Jail Needs Study Community Outreach Program. And this is intended to provide information to the public about the jail needs study that we are currently going through in regards to the issues that need to be addressed with the Fillmore County Jail. This program is being put on by myself, Sheriff John DeGeorge, my contact information here on the screen, as well as County Commissioner Mitch Lenz's contact information. This is a resource that isn't just managed by Fillmore County, but it really belongs to every taxpayer and every citizen of Fillmore County. And we want input from the public on how we move forward with addressing these issues with our jail. We want to put this information in front of as many people as we possibly can before a decision is made by the county board to encourage that engagement, get people to ask questions, and get people to reach out to myself or their county commissioners to help us decide which direction to go in. So what is the jail needs study, this thing we're talking about? It's a committee made up of Fillmore County justice system stakeholders, county officials, community leaders, and Fillmore County citizens. It's a structured process to determine Fillmore County's needs in a correctional facility, and it's a data-driven process that uses jail population data, correctional services, usage, operational costs, and county population to help determine what might be Fillmore County's needs for a correctional facility. Why is Fillmore County doing a jail needs study? To address the shortcomings outlined by the Department of Corrections in order to avoid an abrupt shutdown of the current jail, to ensure that a well-thought-out, feasible, fiscally and socially responsible solution is implemented for Fillmore County. And the main part of this outreach program is to provide a process of transparency and to encourage community engagement to help us as we go through this study. So what are the tasks of this jail needs study? Well, the tasks are to gather and evaluate that data to determine what options best meet the needs of Fillmore County now and in the future, to evaluate those options to determine which option will best meet Fillmore County's needs and which option is most fiscally responsible. Ultimately, the jail needs study will make a recommendation to the Fillmore County Board as to the best option available. What is the status of the Fillmore County Jail? In September of 2017, the Minnesota Department of Corrections downgraded the jail from a 365-day facility to a 90-day holding facility. Our inmate capacity was also reduced from a maximum of 24 to 20. The Department of Corrections cited several reasons for this downgrade. We have a lack of programming and recreational space, lack of ability to separate inmates based on inmate classification, and the age and deterioration of our building and facilities. The Department of Corrections has advised Fillmore County that the jail cannot continue to operate in its current facility, and the Department of Corrections has also advised Fillmore County to find a solution to avoid being shut down. The history of the Fillmore County Jail is that the jail was built in about 1969. It's currently one of the oldest, if not the oldest jail in the state of Minnesota. It's kind of hard to pin that down because there's a few jails in the state that are around the same age as ours, and nobody really has a perfect date as to when that jail opened and started operating, but we are definitely one of the oldest jails in the state of Minnesota. Our jail was constructed according to regulations that were in place since the year 1911. Those regulations did not change or get updated until the year 1978. So there's a few interesting facts about the year 1911 that sort of helps us understand how old the regulations are that dictated how our jail would be built. William Howard Taft was president in 1911. The Lincoln Memorial was not yet built. They were trying to find a site for it at the time. The first official airmail flight in the U.S. happened in 1911, and the hull of the Titanic was launched in Ireland in that same year. So that gives us, it's sort of an interesting way to illustrate what year, as I said, it was when these regulations were put in place as to how our jail would be built, and we're still operating in that very same facility today. In 2003, a jail study was performed and construction of a jail addition was considered by Fillmore County. That was not gone ahead with. The county board decided in 2003 not to do that. I think it was a good idea. They were patient. It wasn't something at the time that was required, but it was a really good process with some forethought put into what the future of our jail would be. We've known about the shortcomings of our jail, and we've thought about the future of our jail for many years, as indicated by that. And I think a lot of patience and good management by the people who came before me has been used, and we've gotten a lot of good life out of this jail. In September of 2017, the Department of Corrections reduced Fillmore County's jail operations to 90 days. In 2017, the National Institute of Corrections did a study on the Fillmore County Jail. And the National Institute of Corrections is a federal organization that assists counties in doing jail studies to help them determine what their community's jail needs are. The findings of that NIC study in 2017 were that Fillmore County is non-compliant with codes and standards. The Americans with Disability Act, we are non-compliant in most areas of the facility and all of our inmate areas except for one housing unit. The Minnesota jail standards, many inmate areas do not meet basic adult jail facility space and functionality requirements and prohibit the provision of some required services to inmates. That NIC study also indicated that obsolete and deteriorating building systems cause maintenance staff operational challenges with maintenance and repair. So we've got a picture here of an example of some of the maintenance that we have had to do over the years and the maintenance systems that we sometimes struggle to maintain. This is a pipe chase between a couple cell blocks of our jail. You can see on the left-hand side of the picture, we've replaced some parts. We sort of are always in a maintenance mode where we're keeping this stuff running, but we are getting to a point where it's getting very difficult to do so. More findings of that NIC study in 2017 were that the lack of suitable housing for higher custody inmates and special needs inmates can pose operational security and life safety risks. And that's both to our staff, to our jailers, but also to the inmates themselves. That creates a pretty significant liability issue for Fillmore County that we need to address. The lack of visibility into inmate housing due to its linear design can pose operational, security, and life safety risks. Fillmore County Jail was built in a linear fashion. So our jail has one long hallway with cells on each side of that hallway, kind of like you see in old movies with old jails. Jails today are built in pod type jails. Cells are made to be visible to the control center and to all of the jailers. You can see into those cells at any time. It's very easy to do visual supervision of your inmates. In Fillmore County, we don't have the ability to do that because of that linear style of our jail construction. The manual locking systems in all inmate areas can pose life safety risks during an event requiring quick evacuation. Most jails today, well, all jails today, are built with locks that are controlled by the master control, by the control center electronically. In Fillmore County, the cells are still locked and unlocked by a jailer with a key, which causes some significant risks when we talk about evacuation or emergency situations. No fire sprinklers in the old portion of the building and none within inmate areas. There are also inoperative cell doors that have been removed, limiting ways that inmates can be separated. This is 3 pictures of 3 of the cells in our jail right now. Illustrates some of the reasons why we are not up to code with the jail housing standards, just from a space perspective and from some of the utilities. And finally, from the NIC study, the functional limitations were determined to be a lack of program space, which prohibits staff from providing needed and required services to inmates. Fillmore County, along with every other county that operates a jail, is required to provide service space to inmates. And what service space is, it's to provide those services to inmates that we can give them while they're in jail, whether it's a GED study program, it could be their religious programming, it could be any kind of a job development sort of program, and we have a lack of space to be able to do that for our inmates. There's a lack of more than one exercise area, which limits the numbers of inmates who can exercise, and the lack of an indoor exercise area poses problems in inclement weather. Another reason that we are non-compliant with the Department of Corrections regulations is we don't have any indoor recreation space, and the outdoor recreation space we have is a concrete pad with a fence around it, so it doesn't work in inclement weather. There is no medical exam or treatment space, which limits the quality of medical services. We have a contracted medical provider who provides nursing services to all of our inmates, and we do not have a nurse's station to provide those services to those inmates. We have inadequate intake and release area, which limits processing efficiency and safety. We have one small booking room where a lot of different things happen in that booking room, sometimes at the same time. We do not have any temporary holding cells. So for instance, if we arrest more than one person at a time on a search warrant or a drug operation, we don't have temporary holding cells where we can put people while we book other people in. The building lacks adequate staff and inmate storage space. The inadequate visiting area poses multiple operational and safety challenges, and limited housing separations prevents adequate population classification separation. And that's something we've seen a lot here through this slideshow, the discussion about inmate classification and separation. Many different classifications exist for inmates. Some are the severity of the crime, whether it's a minimum security inmate, maximum security inmate, moderate security inmate. We also have to separate gender, men and women, by sight and sound, which we're unable to do in most cases, and the ability to separate juveniles by sight and sound. Here's a picture of our library and indoor recreational and program area. So this is kind of the one room that we do have in our jail. It's pretty small, and we do use it for multiple different things. As you can see here, it's used as a library. It also is, we try to use it as a recreational space and try to use it as a programming space, but you can't put very many people in here. And again, oftentimes, when we try to do more than one thing at a time, this may be the only space that we really have available. This is a storage area that we currently use as a medical treatment area. It's kind of where the nurses do their work. It's essentially like I said, a storage room. And our inmates also use it as a Zoom conference room. So whether it's a meeting with an attorney or court hearings that they currently are doing by Zoom because of COVID-19, this is just a space that essentially is a large closet that we do those things in. This is our booking area that we referenced earlier, and you can see the booking station with a computer monitor. Directly to the right of that would be our fingerprinting area, and then directly to the right of that is the intoxilizer machine, the DMT, that our deputies would use when someone's arrested for DWI. And all of those things are basically on the same desk right next to each other. Corner area you see in front of you there is the shower, where inmates shower when they are first brought into jail. And that's essentially our entire booking room. And there's a lot of different things going on in there at once. So we've sort of outgrown that space as well. Now we'll move on to the Department of Corrections inspections. The Department of Corrections is the state oversight agency who has oversight over all county jails in Minnesota. They do a yearly inspection of jails, and they determine if jails can operate or if they cannot, and what changes they need to make to stay operational. So according to the Department of Corrections, why does the Fillmore County Jail not meet their requirements? We are unable to separate inmates based on classifications, as we talked about. There's a lack of programming and recreational space, the linear design of the building, and the old building and utilities. And one of the really powerful statements in that DOC inspection report is under corrective actions, and it says, corrective action at this time would require substantial remodeling or expansion of the current facility. And if anyone is interested, the Department of Corrections jail inspections are public information. And you can find those by just Google searching Minnesota Department of Corrections jail inspections, and you can find Fillmore County in there, and you can read those jail inspections. One interesting point about Fillmore County's current jail issue is that jail size is not our problem. Many counties who have gone through this process have done so because they have outgrown their jail, and they have more inmates than they can hold in their jail, and they need to build a bigger jail. That isn't our issue here in Fillmore County. Our issues are related to the construction of our jail, the linear design, the lack of space to do programs, and the lack of space for recreation, the lack of space for our nurses station, and the general degradation of the facility itself. Essentially, we have gotten 52 good years out of our building, which likely was designed and intended to last maybe 30 years. As I said before, I think we've done a very good job managing this jail, and I think it plays into the advantage that I think Fillmore County has in that our jail size is not inappropriate. So when we look at what solution we might have to do, we don't have to look at doing anything big. So the question comes up, what if Fillmore County does nothing? The Department of Corrections has told us they will not reinstate our jail to full 365-day operations. They've also indicated that if these jail issues are not resolved, they can order the closure of the Fillmore County Jail by giving a sunset date, at which time the jail will be closed by the state. If that happens, Fillmore County will have little time to ensure a good process is followed before the closure. If we look to Winona County, just to the north of us, is currently facing a sunset date on their jail of September of 2021, and they have not yet begun construction on a new facility. So the next question would make sense to be, what options are being considered? Well, one option is called total outsourcing, which would be where Fillmore County closes their jail completely and pays to transport and house inmates in other county jails. To maintain a 72-hour book and hold facility, which would be to maintain a short-term holding facility for new arrests. To pay to transport and house inmates in other county jails. The third option would be a 90-day holding facility, in which Fillmore County would maintain a facility that meets the requirement to hold inmates for a maximum of 90 days. After 90 days, we would pay to transport and house inmates in other county jails. And finally, to be a full 365-day facility, which is traditionally what a county jail is and what we were before September of 2017. And that would be a facility that meets the Minnesota DOC requirements to operate 365 days a year. So what will be the outcome of the jail needs study? The study will eliminate three of those options. The study will recommend to the Fillmore County Board that the county should move forward with the implementation of the option that best meets Fillmore County's needs. The study's recommendation will be based on a careful analysis of data gathered, as well as initial and future operating costs, and will be made with the input of justice system stakeholders, county officials, and citizens. The study and recommendation to be completed and presented in the summer of 2021. We're hoping to have this study done and in front of the Fillmore County Board the middle of this summer. This is the point in the presentation where we would ask for questions from the audience. I understand that we're recording this and putting it out to everyone, so I'd refer you back to the first slide or the second slide in this presentation, which has my contact information as well as Commissioner Mitch Lenz. Anybody who lives in Fillmore County, any of the 5 districts, you have your commissioner who represents you, and all 5 of those commissioners are going to ultimately make this decision. So I would encourage everyone who has questions about the process to contact myself or Commissioner Lenz, as we are both on this Jail Needs Committee and we're happy to engage. If you have input about the jail, we'd encourage you to reach out to us and we can share that, or reach out to your county commissioner and share that. The public engagement part of this, the importance of it cannot be overstated. There's a lot of things that I have learned. I've worked for Fillmore County for 24 years. I've worked for the Sheriff's Office for 24 years. And I've learned a lot about what people think about the jail just in the last few months through this process. When we talk about the 4 different options, there's a whole lot of different things that go into those 4 options. It isn't simply a matter of finances. It isn't simply a matter of liability, but there's a lot of other things that go along with it. Fillmore County has the ability currently to decide the future of our jail, and we want to make sure that we do it right. Our hope is that long after we're gone here as county officials, the right decision was made and the right solution is in place to last for many, many years for Fillmore County. I thank you for taking the time to watch this presentation, and I encourage you again to reach out to us for your input and your questions. Thank you.